in the past, every single vision of the future involving technology has made the technology the star, the flying cars, the tall buildings, and the human beings are like, if it was a film, we're like the extras and the technology is the hero. I don't think so. I think human beings are far too egocentric to ever let the technology reduce them to mere bystanders. And so anything we do with technology, we have to realize that human beings are going to be, as Tam said, the crucial part in trying to make the transformation work, as Joe said. So I want to run through with you all these strange, quick, different types of our new creature, and then we'll understand what we're dealing with. So the new creatures, there's something called AI. This is the big one, which Vauxhall was afraid of. AI is artificial intelligence. There are many different forms. They talk about machine learning. You hear all these words. The thing to realize is, although most technology will know when your birthday is or when Valentine's Day is, they will not be very helpful at telling you what your other half really would like. So sometimes we can't go far enough with the technology. However intelligent it is, it can't do the emotion yet. But here's something which is really important. This is a computer beating Kasparov. Computers are now smarter than us. Why? Because they have two advantages over us. One, they can process very quickly, and the second is they can network. They can think together. Okay? Human beings don't process that fast. We're quite creative, but at the moment we don't tend to think together. We tend to work together. We collaborate by passing the work, not by thinking. But there's something good. Down here, there's a picture of a centaur. What's a centaur? A centaur is the nickname for games of chess played where you use a computer and a human being as a joint team. It turns out that although a computer can beat a human being, if you put a human being with a computer, it'll beat the computers. Isn't that interesting? So that's really important. The other thing which is also next is this one here, which is called augmented reality. This is again solution looking for a problem. My favorite one is this is supposed to be for visualizing things for architects. If you're an architect and you can't visualize things, you're in the wrong profession. I'm sorry, okay? And this one here is augmented reality where you're giving your data a score. It's not going to happen. So some of these things, they develop the technology, they're looking for a way of using them. You'd have heard of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is very simple to understand. It basically is running financial systems, but running them instead of through a hub, through the wheel. The wheel only is what they would describe as blockchain, and blockchain is a way of sharing all the information, so every node knows where it's been spent by every other node. That's the easiest way to understand blockchain. Big data is basically what happens when you collect so much information so fast, no one can make any sense of it, and you have to go and trawl through it later to try and figure out what's going on. There's also lots of rather nonsense stuff around here. Drones are particularly close to my heart because I feel quite guilty. If you watch the film Eye in the Sky, you know they use drones for strikes on terrorists. Now, my claim to infamy is I worked with British Aerospace, and they were struggling to get their aircraft out. And I did a senior exec boardroom workshop where I plotted a graph of time of idea of the aircraft to the time it flies. And I went back to the Wright brothers. And if you plot that, you'll discover that the Wright brothers, it took them about 2 weeks when they had an idea. By the time we got up to the First World War, it was about 6 weeks or 8 weeks. By the time we got to the Second World War, it was about a year. And this time of idea to time to fly is exponential. So my line, which was the line to try and shift their minds, was I said, all the projects you're working on now here, you'll all be dead before they fly. You're going to have to break the paradigm. And so we broke the paradigm. We took the human beings out of the aircraft and created the Raptor. So drones took off at that point. Now, the problem with drones is I was once a teenager. When I was a teenager, if I saw a pizza flying overhead, do you know what this was called? It was called free pizza. This is just nonsense. And this one also is nonsense. I live near London. The idea of a vehicle with an unspecified content trundling through areas where people live, it's never going to happen. That's how you deliver bombs. Are they crazy? Robotics is the other one. Robots will wipe us out because they can take our empathy, but we can't give it back to them. This is the Boston Dynamics robot, and I like this until the point where somebody sneaks out and does this wonderful thing where they give it a... And most human beings go, oh, we react emotionally when we see the machine kicked. And this is why if you let the robots go loose, they have no emotions. They will happily kill us, but we will struggle to kill them. Enhanced reality is another one. Internet of Things is just connecting all the bits of technology to each other. For that one, probably the best example I have is my cat, Max, who has a chip, and when he goes in and out through his cat flap, it tells me where he is. Mobile is another mad thing, another wonderful thing to confuse us. Two challenges. If I ask you, how many apps do you have on your mobile phone? Does anyone here have less than 10, 20, 30, 40? People have 50, 60 apps. If I say, how many apps do you use on a daily basis? We start with 1, 2, 3. What I'm trying to explain is there's this thing called mobile real estate. So every company is trying to go digital by producing apps. They are wasting their time. People can only use so many apps at a time, and they won't be using yours. The other one to recognize is this rather weird thing. Recreational screens get bigger, whilst work screens get smaller. People go home and watch and play games on 60-inch screens, and then they try and do their business whilst walking around on their phone. Bizarre. Because the dopamine hits are so high that if you go anywhere near anything social, you will become an addict and you will not be able to stop, and you will have cold turkey if you try and come off your Facebook or your LinkedIn or your Twitter. Ultra connectivity is everywhere. There's no way you can go to escape it. This is a web-enabled donkey in the Holy Lands. VR is what we're on now. There's flat screen VR, and then there's VR with things to look at. Voice recognition, they keep promising us, but remember, if 2 people are talking or 4 people are talking with voice recognition, it gets really interesting. And if you use Siri on an iPad, you'll know how it sometimes wakes up and says, how can I help, when you haven't said anything. It does that especially in crowded places when there are airplanes. Wearables are interesting. Clothes which tell you what's going on. This is a vest which tells you what's happening in the stock market. I myself use a Mayo which as a mouse which reads my signs. And this is an experiment where people had a magnet embedded in their bodies, electronic magnet. So every time they turned north, it gave them a little electric shock. And after a while, they could train themselves to be able to walk blindfolded because they could remember all the electric shocks from that particular thing. So there's a plethora, and I haven't done all of them.